Hey guys, welcome to the IS Guide. See, in this video, we'll be discussing General Studies 150 days online course for 2018 Civil Service exam. And this is day 1 and it is part 1 of day 1 and the date is 13th of September 2017. Okay, and let's see what we'll be discussing in this part 1 of day 1. See, this is the content of complete day 1. Content of complete day 1, and let us see what is the content of complete day 1. Okay, see, we will be actually dealing with the introduction to the case studies in this day 1. Okay, we will be actually dealing with the case studies of rising ethical issues at workplaces. Okay, certain information we will be dealing with this. Okay, and then we will be dealing from where the case studies can be asked, like topics like checking corruption. Okay, and the topics like whistleblowers, which are very much important when it comes to case studies questions, and conflict of interest. Okay, and the concept of bureaucratization. Okay, what is the problems where which are faced by the bureaucracy of Indian context. Okay, and conflict between two co-workers. Okay, if there are fighting between the co-workers in your organization, what you have to do. Okay, these type of case studies, no, it's actually very much the frequency of appearing of case studies related to these concepts are very much. That's the reason in introduction we will be talking about all these case studies. Okay, the questions can be asked from these areas, and the concept of EQ in detail we will be studying, and also how the case studies can be asked from the leadership topics. Okay, all these things we will be covering in this part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4. Okay, uh, all four parts will include all these topics. Okay, and first let us take up the introduction to case studies. Okay, see, what do you mean by a case study? Okay, see, actually a case study is nothing but a case study is a paragraph, okay, in which there may be explanation of activity or explanation of some problem which includes a hypothetical situation. Okay, very important, which includes hypothetical situations. That means you cannot take any extreme end. That kind of situation they will give. Okay, and there will be complexity in that story what they are going to give. And most of the case studies now are related to the workplace complexity. Definitely, because definitely now in civil service exam, why this paper 4 was introduced? See, paper 4 was introduced to know the ethics, aptitude and integrity of a civil service aspirant. Okay, that's the reason when it comes to workplace, the case studies are going to be set. Okay, from workplace point of view only the case studies are going to be set, and there may be exceptions where the case studies might also come from sociological point of view. Okay, and let us repeat again the definition of case studies. See, a case studies is a paragraph which may explain about an activity or a problem that includes hypothetical situations and complexities, and most of these case studies which appear in the examinations are workplace based complexities. Okay, and also a case studies are used to help you see how the complexity of real life influence decision. Okay, you people may be having a certain kind of idea why government has taken this kind of stand. Okay, see, a host of reasons will be there, a host of problems will be there behind the decision what they will take. Okay, after seeing all the complexities, after seeing all the difficulties in the real life situations, the bureaucrats are going to take the decision. Okay, best example we can take, just a minute guys. Best example we can take, why reservation is there in the in our country, why reservation is there in entrance exams, why reservation is there in the employment of jobs. Okay, and why reservation is there for the this promotions. Okay, why reservation is there? Okay, it's a very complex questions. Okay, a new man who does not know the actual dimension what is why reservation is there, he will get confused. Okay, and he will be actually arguing in a different perspective. That's the reason it is very difficult to come to a conclusion of the hypothetical situation. Okay, only officers by analyzing carefully they might have put the reservation kind of thing. Okay, anyway, different people will be having different kind of views regarding that one because they don't know the complexity of the problem. Okay, and also analyzing a case study requires practicing your knowledge. Okay, see, analyzing case studies means just reading the paragraph. You cannot analyze actually. Okay, you have to apply your knowledge. Okay, some kind of instance you people have to be aware of. Okay, see, if they are discussing about workplace complexity, if you are still a student, how can you know what is the complexity in workplace? See, it is different actually. In real life, what is the complexity in workplace is different than what we study in the book. Okay, practical knowledge we have to apply. If you are having a work experience, definitely this paper 4 becomes very easy for you people. If you are having certain kind of work experience, at least a 6 months work experience, okay, some kind of idea you will get. Okay, we see without work experience also you can score very good marks. Okay, if you have work experience, you will enjoy more reading this paper 4. Okay, and also this paper 4, no, they actually extract your skills. Okay, thinking skills to a real situations. That is what the bureaucrats are meant for. Real situations. See, in bureaucracy, nobody will tell you. Uh, see, if some kind of unrest is happening in the society, you have to take the actions immediately. You cannot sit. Yes, if they come and tell, the lower officers come and tell you, sir, this kind of situation is prevailing, what actions we have to take? And you are an IAS officer inside some district where the problem is occurring, and you cannot sit and study the book, and then you cannot give the then you cannot signal, or then you cannot take decision. Okay, immediately you have to take the decision. That is the work of bureaucrats. That is the work of IAS officer. Okay, to sit and read constitution book and all before taking decision, that is the work of CA, not bureaucrats. Bureaucrats immediate action based on experience, not based on bookwala things. Getting bookwala things is done by CA, chartered accountant. Okay, that's the speciality of bureaucracy. So that they have included case studies in your syllabus. Okay, and let us see which are the important features of ideal case studies. Okay, see, whenever we talk about ideal case studies, it will be in the form of real life activity. Okay, the case study what they are giving, no, it will be always in the form of real life activity. Okay, the case studies always tells certain kind of problems which is going on in the society. The case studies always tells the certain kind of problems which is prevailing in the organizations. Okay, majority of the questions are coming from related to the organization and related to the problems which are there in society, and how you people will give the answer for them, and how you people are going to take the decision regarding those case studies. Okay, the balance of view they will see, and also there may be many parts in one case study. Okay, 2 or 3 parts may be there. They may interlink the parts and they may ask the questions. And also the case studies includes elements of problem and complexity. Okay, see, there will be element of complexity, there will be element of problem, but anyway sufficient information they will give for you people. Okay, without giving information they will not ask. Sufficient information give so that you can apply your knowledge, and then you can actually come to a conclusion. And there will be scope for discussion. Okay, see, a case studies is not something fact they will give. Okay, certain kind of analysis kind of thing will be there, so that you have to apply your mind, you have to discuss. Okay, within you have to discuss within the lines what you read in the case study. Okay, between that and between your brain some kind of discussion will go, and then only you are going to answer. Okay, it is not fact oriented, it is 100% analysis oriented case studies. Okay, they may also contain different personality events and conflicts. See, case studies definitely it may also contain regarding some personalities. Okay, they may frame the case studies based on some national leaders. Okay, like Gandhiji, they may frame case study based on Gandhiji. They may frame case study based on Lajpat Rai. Okay, or they may frame case studies based on any past events which has taken place and which is very much relevant. And they can also frame case studies based on conflict. Okay, very important. Okay, see, case studies gives you an opportunity to participate rather than be passive. Okay, you cannot be passive in this paper. Okay, whenever you deal with the case studies, definitely you have to apply your mind and you have to give some kind of answer. You cannot stay quiet. Okay, and after seeing the definitions and features of case studies, now let us see some typical cases where ambiguity is involved. Okay, One typical case is how to raise an ethical issue at workplace. Okay, see, how to raise an ethical issues means, see, there are many problems you may encounter in workplace, like your team lead telling lies to the upper manager, your colleagues are leaving office early secretly unknowing to anybody, and they are going home very early than the usual time. In these situations, how will you raise your voice? See, in workplace organization, no, it's very complex actually to raise the voices. It is not that easy. How you will raise voices in your colleges? It's not easy in workplaces. Okay, everybody will be sensitive towards you. Okay, you should be sensitive towards others. Okay, it's very difficult to actually raise voices. Okay, in this scenario, what you will do? You know that your manager is lied by your team lead. Your team lead is not giving proper details for your managers because of his own problems. Team lead's problem, because of his own problem, he is not giving the right kind of details to the manager about the project what is going on in the organization. And also your colleague, no, if the office ends at 5 o'clock, he is leaving at 3:30 only silently. Okay, okay, these are all things you have to raise the voice in the organizations. Okay, to raise the voice, what are the things you have to keep in mind? Let us discuss now. See, to raise voice, first you have to be rational. Okay, you should think to whom to say, what to say, and why to say. Okay, and fear is a factor which may actually hinder you in this kind of activity. Okay, whenever you want to raise voice, fear comes middle of way. Fear may take over you, and you think that how it will actually affect your relationship with your colleague. If you go and tell raise point to the senior authorities, your colleague, no, definitely you will lose relationship with your colleague. Your colleague don't like that. And in some instances, you may also think that it is not your job. Okay, you may think that, come on, why I want to indulge in this kind of activity, let me be quiet. Okay, so you should not indulge in any of these activities. Okay, you should not actually indulge in fear kind of activity, and you should not indulge in the activity like staying away. Okay, don't indulge in these kind of activities. Be rational, and be clear with the nature of risk. That's very important. Okay, first you people should be knowing what is the problem happening because of the your team lead not giving proper detail to manager, whether it is actually having certain kind of relevance, or whether it is certain okay, chalega type of thing. Okay, that kind of problem, the nature of risk, you have to be clear. Okay, first be clear with the issue what is going on, and also seek to understand the reason behind their action. Why the team lead is telling lies to the manager, why the colleague is going very early to the home. First understand the reason behind them. Okay, then only you have to raise the voice, and also analyze the merits and demerits in your action. Okay, because merits means in certain situations, if you raise the voice, it can save the company from damages. It's merit, no, if you raise the voice, definitely it is a merit, because in some very serious sequences you have to raise the voice to save the company. And when it comes to demerit, if you are the only earner in your home, then you have to think twice. That's a demerit. Now if you raise the voice today, okay, after 1 week, if some problem has happened for you because you raised the voice, okay, the other person may not be liking because you are raising the voice, and you may lose job at the worst sequences. Okay, at worst consequence, if you lose the job, you have to see that are you the only person who is earning bread in your home. Okay, all these things you have to think, and you have to raise the voice. And the fourth point is talk to the person who has actually committing the mistakes. Perpetrator, we will be calling it as. Talk to that person directly. If certain kind of issue, serious issue is there, you talk. Okay, give him the opportunity to correct. Give him or her the opportunity to correct himself. If the condition is serious, there is no other way. You have to go and complain the boss. If the situation is not serious, then you can just give him one chance. And fifth point is you have to test again. Okay, test again means you have to talk the problem with your friends. You have to actually counsel yourself. You should do counseling with your friends. Whether I am right, Should I raise the voice? Like that, you have to actually communicate with your close friends outside the organization. Okay, and test your reasoning. You have to test 2 or 3 times whatever you are thinking, whatever you are thinking that you want to raise the voice, why you want to raise the voice, the reasoning kind of thing, whether the problem is really a problem. 2 or 3 times you have to keep thinking by applying reasoning, and then you have to develop action plan. Okay, and do not accuse is very important. See, you do not go and accuse directly for that person, or you should not accuse that person in front of everybody, so that that person feels guilt. Okay, that thing you have to keep in mind. And also analyze perspective consistently. That means, analyze perspective consistently means you have to gather information again and again. Okay, whether your manager is lied by your team leader, whether the matter is true, 2 or 3 times you have to gather the information. Okay, then you have to see whether your only perspective changes or what you have to see. Okay, at the first instance you may think that yes, I have to raise the voice against these people, and after gathering information you may think that, oh, there was nothing wrong in that. Okay, that is the reason whether your own viewpoint changes or what. After 2 or 3 revisions of information, you have to analyze that first before raising the voice. And lastly, you have to be safe. You have to be in the safe condition. That's very important. Okay, you have to see that whether enough people are going to support you in the organization. That is also very important. If there are 10 people in the organization, okay, and if 7 people do not support you, then definitely you will not be in a safe position. And if 7 people are in a position to support you, definitely you can raise the voice. Okay, that's also a very important thing. Be safe. Okay, you have to save the organization also, and at the same time you should be also in the safer zone. Okay, this was the first case study what we have discussed, and let's move on to the next case study. See, in the next case study, the problem is fighting of co-owners between themselves. I'm sorry, not co-owners, co-workers, fighting between the co-workers. Okay, see, in any organization you see, they will form teams. You have to keep this in mind. If you are having work experience, definitely you people will be feeling this one. Even I know about this one because I am having 2 years of work experience. I was having when I was working. Definitely this kind of problem definitely will arise in any organization. There will be fighting between co-workers. Okay, whatever may be the organization, definitely there will be fighting. Whether it is an IAS academy, whether it is a primary school teachers organization, anything it may be. Okay, this is natural. Issues will come between the members in organization who are working. Okay, and let us see what is happening here. See, just a minute, guys. Just a minute. Okay, let's come back. See how to resolve those issues. Okay, see, you are a manager. Let us take an example. You are a manager, and in your team, some 10 people are there, and in that 10 peoples, 2 peoples are automatically actually having difference of opinion, personal opinion as well as the work related opinion. Okay, they are against to each other's opinion, and they are not seeing each other's face, the 2 peoples who are having conflict between them. Okay, daily they will come, daily they will actually come to the work, and they will talk to others, but those 2 guys will not talk with each other, and they will not see their face directly, and it is affecting your teamwork. And in that situation, what you have to do is the answer what we are going to explain here. Okay, the first point is, if anyone approaches you for help, then you can intervene. Unless then you cannot intervene. Okay, 10 people are there, 2 people are fighting. In these 2 people, if any one also come and tells that, see sir, come on, this kind of problem is going on, what to do? The other person is not talking with me. I don't know what is the difference. Why he is actually so sad with me. Okay, this kind of thing, if anybody comes and tells you, then only you can take a stand, then only you can intervene. Okay, see, without they coming and telling you, you are intervening, it does not indicate good. Okay, if it is causing the problem in teamwork, definitely you have to intervene, even if they are not coming and telling you. Okay, teamwork means definitely there will be some projects you have to complete in the scheduled time, and if these people are fighting like this, definitely you cannot complete the project. It will be the it will be affecting for the teamwork. In that case, if nobody comes and tell you also, you have to intervene. And second point, allow colleagues the space and time to talk it out, so that they may figure out on their own what they want to do. Okay, you have to allow the both the persons to actually figure it out. Okay, you should not see the persons like some victims, like, okay, you have to, yeah, you should not actually react to that egoism between them. Okay, you have to let them speak. Okay, let them take some time. Okay, let them figure out by themselves what the mistake has happened. You have to give time for them. Okay, there is nothing wrong in tolerating few complaints in short time. In short time, no, this kind of disputes will not cause any harm to the teamwork. Short time quarreling is okay, but long time quarreling will definitely affect the organization and also the teamwork. And also make an effort to get both sides of the story. Okay, you should not actually support one guy, and you should not actually neglect another guy. Okay, you should take stands both side. Don't actually lean any of the sides. Okay, and also the last point, show empathy while listening to your colleague. Okay, see, any one of these guys, know, within these two guys comes and tells you, see, this is the problem going on between me and him or her, what should I do? Then you should not neglect their arguments. You should not think that this kind of false things will be happening in all the organization, why you people are quarreling like this. You should not think like this, and you should not neglect their concern. Okay, you have to listen patiently. Okay, what is their problem? You have to listen. Whether you are interested or not interested, that's a different. But you should be interested in this guy, no? He is your colleague, he is your teammate. Okay, by regarding that one, you have to listen their problem, because nobody will come and speak to you unless they are having any serious problem. Only when they are having serious problem, they will come and speak to you. So listen to them, show empathy towards them. Okay, and also make clear them how it is affecting the teamwork. That's very important. You have to say them, see, I know that you people are having the problem, but what about the teamwork, what we are doing? Okay, that kind of questions you have to raise. That's it. Okay, and also do not give unwelcome suggestions. Okay, see, if they are not actually coming and asking you suggestion, simply you are only going and giving suggestion. Do you think it will be good? Okay, they will actually feel irritated if you are simply going and giving unnecessary suggestions. Okay, and also involve the problem solving, not gossip. Okay, see, if this kind of situation happen, no, definitely there will be gossips in the organization. People will take advantage of these two people. Okay, 10 people are there in team, and these two people are quarreling. Other 8 people, no, some 5 or 6 people may take advantage of this gossip, this situation. Okay, they may talk differently. Okay, matter is something, but they will talk some different, they will put masalas also, masala things, and they will talk. Okay, so don't give importance to this masala kind of thing. Okay, you have to talk just what is the problem, that's it. Okay, and also don't rush to sit them down together unless the situation is worst. Okay, this means you should not call those two people. If you are a team lead, let us take, if you are a team lead in this 10 members, and you should not right away call those two peoples, and you should not make them sit in front of you, and you should not arrange a meeting to resolve their disputes unless the condition is worst. Point to be noted. Okay, and also there are peoples who can't be and won't be helped. Very important. Okay, see, there are some peoples, whatever you tell, they will not actually put those words into their brain. They have fixed kind of brain, they're adamant. Okay, they will not change. Actually, whatever you tell, they will actually, they will give different reasons, and they will be escaping. See, for such persons, nobody can help. Okay, so we should not actually care about such persons. Okay, we should leave them like that only, because whatever you do, it is not going to work. Okay, and next suggestion is, don't go and complain and involve your co-workers boss unless the matter is serious. Okay, see, two persons will be there, no? Let us say, the one person is having his own boss, and the another person is also having his own boss. Two bosses will be there. One boss, two boss. First person's boss, second person's boss. Okay, and the first person should not go and complain the second person's boss right away. I'm sorry, not the first person. You should not go and complain for the second person's boss. Okay, and in the either way, it is true, you should not also complain for the another person's boss. Okay, no bosses you should go and complain directly until the matter gets serious, because if you do that, definitely it will actually affect the things, it will not solve the things. Okay, this is the very serious point you have to keep in mind. And also, refer the problem to someone else if you feel that you cannot help. Okay, see, actually, resolving disputes is not easy. It is not at all easy. Okay, we might be very intelligent persons. Okay, we might be having high IQ. Definitely, it is very much untrue to say that I can do anything, I can actually resolve any kind of disputes. You cannot act smartly in this. Okay, people think like that, they are too smart, they will think themselves only, they will think I am too smart. Okay, any kind of situations I will solve, but definitely it is just a myth, he cannot solve it. That's the reason, if you feel that you cannot solve the problem, you have to refer to someone else, because you are not a psychologist there, you are not a psychologist person. Okay, you are just an employee. So there will be some other persons who can solve the problem, you have to refer to them. If you are not having that capacity, you have to actually accept that. Okay, that's it guys, that was the second case study which we have discussed about the fighting between the co-workers. And now let us go on to the third case study. Okay, we cannot call it as a case study. Okay, just a discussion about checking corruption in any country. Okay, particularly India. Checking corruption in any country, particularly India. Detailed discussion we will be doing on this concept. Okay, let's begin. See, corruption has become a major threat to the good governance both for world as well as for India. See, wherever you go, corruption is there. Okay, we cannot tell that corruption is only in India. Okay, in all the countries, corruption in one or the another form will be there. Only matter is the matter of degree of corruption. Okay, in what intensity the corruption has spread in the country, only a matter of degree. But in every country, corruption is there. Okay, and corruption can lead to large scale siphoning of public funds meant for government programs. Siphoning means going out. Okay, wasting large amount of fund will be wasted, which are meant to do government programs. Okay, how they are wasted means definitely through bribes and also kickbacks, whereby desired objective are not fully met. Okay, this is a very serious problem. Government will actually release, let us say, 1,000 crores in any state. Our government of India will release 1,000 crores to actually help develop skills for OBCs, let us say. Okay, other backward class or other backward caste people, government is actually releasing some program where they are releasing 1,000 crores to improve the status of, or to improve the skills among OBC students who have graduated any kind of graduation. Okay, and some kind of skills they will actually apply, let us say computer skills they are going to apply, and they want to, the government want these people somehow to take some kind of job, so that the worst thing they can actually minimize. The worst thing means joblessness among OBC graduates can be minimized. Okay, if this is a positive measure taken by the government, what they will do is they will not actually give this 1,000 crores directly to OBC students. Okay, no government is like that here. Okay, what they will do is actually they will give through ministers. Okay, through ministers they will distribute this, and it will goes to social welfare office, and from social welfare office they have to collect. Okay, see, this procedure itself is actually problematic here. Okay, the money going to ministers from social welfare office, the students has to take the money. See, during this process only majority of the money these people politicians will actually eat it. politicians and some officials, they will eat in the middle way only. Okay, and 70% they will eat, and 10% wastage somehow. Only 20 to 25, only 20% around they will actually give to the OBC students. Okay, but the target was 100%, and the goal attained was only 20%. 80% gone. Okay, this is what is happening. That is what the problem of corruption in our country. Okay, and we can also take other examples like when the government wants to give land, land, if the government wants to give any permissions, if the government wants to give any kind of allocations, definitely what the persons in the government they will do, silently they will give for their selected individuals or their family members, okay, or their relatives. Okay, and they will give this kind in concessional rates, like 2G scam. What happened in concessional rates, they will give these projects for them. That is what is known as scams. And also the corruption also involves speedy delivery of services. Okay, if the caste certificate or if any certificate the person wants, okay, if it takes some 15 days, okay, in true sense, the guy will go and get the caste certificate in just 2 days by applying influence. That's also a corruption. Speedy delivery of services. And evasion of taxes is also corruption. Okay, these business people know, see in India, if you take, definitely business people know, majority of the business people nicely they are escaping from taxes. Okay, that is known as evasion of taxes. They will not pay tax, they will hide it. And the corruption is not only limited to government departments. Okay, in private sector also, in big companies, private companies, this kind of corruption is a huge problem. Okay, and checking corruption has to involve variety of activities, like preventive measures should be there. Okay, that is corruption preventive, and curative measures should be there. Some kind of punishment should be also be there, motivational things should be there, and procedural details should be there to check corruption. Okay, and you may ask to whom to check this corruption. Definitely we have to fix this corruption watchdog towards politician. Okay, towards bureaucracy, corruption check should be there. And large private companies, we have to keep an eye on them, because Rajalingam, what happened, large Rajalingam Satyam, okay, many years ago, how much crores scam happened. Okay, large private companies, operators are nothing but lobbies, business lobbies. Okay, and vigilance, the peoples from vigilance, we will proudly sell that CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, but how do how do we know that they are corrupt free? Okay, and investigation agencies, they are also not very sacha peoples, or we can tell they are also not very some kind of very nice peoples who will not do corruption. Okay, investigation agencies also involved, CBI, Intelligence Bureau. Okay, we cannot actually tell that all are corrupt free. Okay, we cannot also tell that all are corrupt. Okay, some are corrupt and some are corrupt free, like that. Even judiciary is actually should be checked for corruption. Okay, and the education has to be a major means to orient people to avoid taking corrupt acts. Okay, only through education we have to inculcate a value in the student, so that the corruption actually hinders the development of any society. Okay, in curriculum only we have to put that concept, how to avoid corruptions and the menace of corruptions. Okay, the negative effects of corruptions we have to actually tell the students, so that when he grows up, he do not actually wants to involve in that corruption. Okay, education system should involve or inculcate or include the corruption chapter in the syllabus. And the Mahatma Gandhi's vision of a strong and prosperous India, that is Purna Swaraj, can never become reality if we are not addressing corruption issue. Our Mahatma Gandhi was having this vision, but what about today? What is happening? Okay, we should not forget his vision, and if we want to actually save his vision of Purna Swaraj, definitely corruption should be rooted out from our country. Okay, and also mass media is very much important. See, media is a double-edged weapon. Double-edged weapon, media. Okay, we have to use media to propagate the corruption things. That means the negative effects of corruption and the problems of corruption, media should be actually taken care of. But what they are doing now, media they are actually using for different purpose. I don't want to tell that. Okay, and next point, setting of standards do not only solve the setting of standards do not by themselves ensure ethical behavior that requires a robust culture of integrity. Okay, this is very important point, because many of the times what will happen means, in government departments the officers only set the rules in the paper. They will set the rules in the paper, and they will just leave the paper to be read by some other officers, and they will think that some other officers will take care. See, who nobody will take care actually. Okay, what I am trying here to tell is, just setting rules is not okay. Okay, that should actually be implemented. That is what a big problem which is causing India. Okay, if you see Indian laws, actually it's very strict. Okay, the laws are very rigid and very strict actually, Indian laws. But when it comes to the application, very poor. Okay, that point we have to keep in mind. And the Department of Administrative Reforms and the Removal of Public Grievance has got civil services survey conducted through the Central for Good Governance in Hyderabad. Okay, see, actually now administrative reform department is there, which actually wants to know the public grievances. Public grievances means what are the problems of public, what are the demands from the public, that the administrative reform wants to know. And what they have done is, they have conducted civil services survey. Okay, in Hyderabad they have conducted civil service survey on good governance. Okay, what that did means, they actually send a questionnaire kind of thing. Questionnaire means one form will be like this. Okay, let's say some 25 questions will be like this. Okay, let us say questionnaire will be like that only. It is a sociological concept. In questionnaire, question will be there, here answers will be there, tick mark, or they can actually answer it. Okay, anything like that, questionnaires will be there. What the government did is, in Hyderabad they sent to all 10 central and all India services, 10 central and all India services officers, they sent this questionnaire, and they actually told these people to fill the form. Okay, actually what happened, no, just a minute guys. Okay, actually what happened, no, 4,800 responses were actually surveyed by this questionnaire. 4,800 responses they got by this questionnaire thing. Okay, regarding the problems of public grievance. Okay, they asked the civil servants only directly. Okay, and very interesting points they got in the answer. Okay, many of them told that the anonymous complaint, no, actually the anonymous complaints were not handled correctly by the government, and this kind of anonymous complaints were used by the government to derail honest officers, to discourage honest officers. Government itself discouraged honest officers by not keeping the anonymous complaint very secretly. Okay, this was the problem which was facing for the officers. And also the government started inquiry on baseless allegation on officers. Okay, just to actually demoral them. Okay, the officers who are very much straightforward, the officers who are very much honest, no, for them certain people don't like certain officers. Okay, so the government what they did is, actually they actually allegations, they will put allegations, false allegations. It will discourage the officers, no. Okay, the second point, the third point what this questionnaire gave is, honest and upright officers were sidelined, it seems. Okay, if some honest officer is there, nobody is interested in him, because he is not corrupt. Honest officers are not corrupt, but certain people in the government want corrupt officers to eat this money, no. Okay, that's the reason honest and upright officers were sidelined, just neglect them like that. Okay, and corrupt officers get away without punishment by influence of politician, by influence of technocrats, top technocrats, by the influence of the top level bureaucracy who are corrupt, like that. And for 40% of the responses, no, in this questionnaire response, 40% of the peoples thought that majority officers are ethical in the department. 40% of the people are actually having this opinion. Okay, majority are ethical officers, but 23% are having an opinion that only few officers are honest and ethical. 23% are having very few officers are honest and ethical, but 40% are having majority of the officers are ethical and honest. Okay, this was the response got by the Department of Administrative Reform. Okay, very important observation. And that's it, guys. Now let us see, in the same concept, let us see what are the measures to check corruption and to encourage honesty. Okay, following that paragraph, we have to see how to encourage honesty along with checking corruption. Okay, these are the points to encourage honesty. Measure to protect, there should be measures to protect honest persons need to be strengthened. Okay, the measures which are there to protect honest persons, no, that measures need to be strengthened. Procedures need to be continually evolved and improved to ensure speeding up the completion of inquiry. That is not there now, but that should come into existence. That is, if they actually keep some kind of inquiry on some officers, okay, see, who knows that it is false inquiry or correct inquiry, true inquiry or false inquiry, जानबूझ के कोई कर रहा है, who knows. That's the reason the procedure should be actually speedy procedure. Just simply putting allegation on some officer and simply delaying it means it will actually reduce his moral. That's the reason there should be speedy completion of inquiry. And also the procedure should be continually evolved and improved. It should not be a static procedure. Based on time, the procedure should change. That means it should be actually enhanced. And the second point is, each accused should get a full opportunity to defend himself so as to establish his innocence. Okay, see, simply putting a accusation on somebody, some officer, and simply seeing the activities is not good. Okay, we have to leave the officer to actually take his own time to express himself what happened and how he is innocent. Okay, we have, see, actually some of the peoples in government, they do not give opportunity for the officers to speak itself, simply blaming the officer. The officer should also be given the chance to speak what happened. That we have to keep in mind. And also the system of office inspection needs to be revitalized. Office inspection is very important. Okay, work procedure need to be followed in systematic manner. Work procedure is very important. That has to be followed in systematic manner to make corruption very difficult. Okay, see, why do people do corruption in government offices? Because it is easy to do corruption. That is the reason they will do corruption. Okay, if we make the act of corruption doing itself is very difficult, then you tell me who will go and indulge in corruption things. Okay, see, making it difficult means, see, growing this ganja, what we will be telling, ganja or ganja, okay, it is actually illegal now. Illegal, growing ganja is illegal, but in South India it is illegal. I don't know about North India, maybe there also it is illegal. This ganja, growing of ganja, see, growing of ganja, what they will do is they will grow in very far hilly places. They will grow in very far forest kind of places, in middle of the forest, and they will grow this ganja. Okay, because this is having profit, they will go and sell for the students, they will go and sell for some people. Okay, this ganja they will go and sell and they will get good money. That is the reason they will grow ganja, but it is against to the law. Police peoples will be tracking who is going ganja. Okay, police will be patrolling, and these peoples know they want money, and they will grow ganja silently, they will sell. Okay, this is a riskier job. Actually, risk will be there in this job. So ganja growing and supplying is actually reduced because it is riskier and it is unlawful. The same thing has to be applied in corruption thing. Anyway, it is the corruption thing is also definitely unlawful, but the difficulty should also be increased to take bribes. Okay, the difficulty should be increased so that the corruption can be practiced. Okay, that kind of some procedure should be evolved. Okay, And the audit system can be effective tool to suggest improvement in working procedure. Okay, audit tool is the only effective tool, actually it is auditing. Audit system, audit system should be very strict. Okay. Right to information is very handy to actually control this audit system. Right to Information Act. Okay. And there is a need for electoral reforms also. Okay, see, why do corruption takes place? Why do this politician or the bureaucracy or technocrats or the private peoples will take corruption? Definitely these election expenses are more, no? Election expenses are more. Okay, if I tell an MLA election in Karnataka, let us take an example from Karnataka. Okay, I was just hearing some gossips in the roads. Okay, I will be just talking with the peoples. I will be just I will be just collecting answers what the peoples are thinking, and I just asked one person, okay, who is well versed with the politics. I saw what is the expense of an MLA this election. He told 10 crores. Okay, 10 crores to 15 crores he told. Okay, I thought if this guy is taking 10 crores to 15 crores, definitely he want to make money after he comes to power. Okay, so election expenses should be reduced so that this guy who is contesting for MLA will not be forced to take bribes. Okay, so corruption will be reduced if the election expenses will be reduced. So there should be reform in the election process so that the people should not actually invest crores of money into the election. Okay, that point should be taken care of. Okay, many people have suggested this one, electoral reform. Many big officers have suggested electoral reform. Okay, and an integrity mark scheme should be there in the same line as which is there in British. Okay, Britain, no, charter mark scheme is there. In the same way, integrity mark scheme should also be there in India for good public services. Okay, that should be implemented very fast. Okay, but anyway, operationalizing is very difficult because if you go to any department, there are corrupt officers. Okay, there are some corrupt officers and there are many uncorrupt is also there, corrupt officers are also there. That is the reason this bringing this integrity mark scheme will be actually a difficult task, but actually some kind of improvement we have to do on this bringing integrity mark scheme for good public services. Okay, and the next point is what is good in governmental practice at one place may not match other place. Okay, this also we should keep in mind to control corruption. Okay, because in corruption, no, all over India it is not actually same. It is not same if you consider all over India. Okay, see in Uttar Pradesh, let us take corruption, different style of corruption will be there. If you take Tamil Nadu, different kind of different style of corruption will be there. And if you take Mumbai, that is Maharashtra, okay, different style of corruption will be there. See, Maharashtra is an economic city, different style of corruption will be there. Okay, Uttar Pradesh not so developed. Okay, so different kind of corruption. So what I am trying to say is corruption, no, the practice of corruption changes from one place to another. That is the reason the officers who are concerned to actually tackle the corruption should actually record it. Okay, the officer should actually document the way the corruption is handled in that state. How many states are there in India? Okay, all the states are having their own kind of corruption. Okay, the concerned officer in that concerned state should document the procedure followed to tackle corruption. Okay, he should document and write extensively so that other officer who come from other states, they will understand what is the problem and then they will act according to it. Okay, if an officer is there in Tamil Nadu, if he is transferred to Uttar Pradesh, then in Tamil Nadu different kind of corruption is there, the Uttar Pradesh different kind of corruption is there. To understand itself it will take years. That's the reason the officer should actually document it. If they document, Tamil Nadu officer will come, see the document and he will act accordingly, like that. Documentation should be there for the corruption, how they have tackled, like that. Okay, and also one should always not overthink about comparative ranking of countries based upon the corruption indexes. Okay, very important. See, actually, you people might be knowing that in paper, or you just type in internet. Okay, corruption index you type. Okay, all the countries they will list it. Number one country which is there in the corruption list, this country. Okay, India ranks this much. Okay, see, actually you should not actually go with that observation. Okay, that is not actually correct according to the thinkers. Okay, ranking of countries according to the corruption index is not actually correct, because it is actually a western product. Actually, that ranking of countries based on this corruption index, no, it is actually a western product. Okay, those sociologists, they are having different kind of mindset. Okay, their nature is different, their cultural specificity is different. Okay, their economic problem is different, and Indian economic problem is different. How will they compare and rank the corruption index? Okay, it is problematic. Okay, that's the reason we should not overthink about that concept. Okay, we should think about the removal of corruption within our country. Okay, we should not actually gauge our country with other country when it comes to the corruption index. Okay, that's the point what I have to tell here. Okay, that's it, guys. A bit long video, part 1 video, but anyway, it was informative video. And this is the part 1 end of part 1, and let's meet in part 2 video where we'll continue our discussion. Okay, till then, bye. Hey guys, this was just an limited edition of the course. Okay, in this video we have discussed only the part 1 of video. Okay, apart from part 1, we will be having part 2, we are having part 3, also we are having part 4 when it comes to each day. And this was day 1, and like this, this was day 1, and like this we will be having complete 150 days video. Okay, that means 150 into 4 parts. Okay, 4 parts each day, 150 into 4, that means 600 videos we are having. Okay, and all the 600 videos only will get if you enroll in this course. The course name is 150 days general studies course. The full edition of 150 days you will get only if you enroll it. Okay, see, and you can enroll by going to this blog. Okay, all the information of enrollment details are there in this blog, and also you can enroll on my website. Okay, you can enroll on my blog, or you can enroll on my website. Okay, iasguides.com. Okay, you have to remember this. Yes, don't forget it. Okay, iasguides.com or iasguideindia.wordpress.com. Okay, anywhere you can go, find the details, and you can enroll, and you can access to all the 600 videos. Okay, see, and some other features are there. Okay, very bombard features like mains test series is included in this program. Okay, general studies mains test series is also included. Okay, both sectional test as well as full syllabus test will be there. Okay, and all are evaluated. Okay, it will be personally evaluated by us. Okay, all the details I have given in this blog and also this website. Okay, just go and read the details, you'll be getting an idea. And this course, no, 150 days course, it covers both prelims syllabus, GS prelims syllabus plus GS mains syllabus. Okay, 100% of the syllabus will be covered, both prelims as well as mains. And as I have told that only mains test series is inclusive in this course. Okay, this course does not include prelims test series. For prelims test series you have to enroll separately in my website. Okay, iasguides.com, you have to go to this website. There you have to enroll separately for prelims, whereas mains test series, it's a part of this 150 day program. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Hope this video is very helpful for you people, and let's meet in the next video with some awesome contents. Okay, till then, bye.